I am so excited for today's conversation with Lisa Marie. I'm so excited to have her here. Her and I have been in the same circle for a long time, and yet still somehow have never really had a conversation. So we're going to get to know each other in today's conversation and dive down whatever rabbit hole we choose to go down. Thank you, Lisa, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me on. This is pretty awesome. I've not really been interviewed in this kind of setting on this platform, and so I'm totally digging it already. So thank you for having me.
Love it. So tell me a little bit about you, what you do. I know you're an entrepreneur, but tell me more.
Yes, so in addition to being an entrepreneur, I am also an author and a writer and a speaker. But my primary focus and the areas in which I tend to work with individuals is in the areas of confidence and in strategic visibility. So
Mm.
many of my clients, they have the main thing in common is essentially that they're all passionate and purpose driven, right? And what does that mean? It just means that they're sort of walking to the beat of their own drum. They're following that passion. They're following that divine guidance, wherever it's coming from. For me, it's God. For some people, it's Source or Mother Earth or whatever. But they're in it so that they can not only make an income, but make an impact in the world and
Yeah.
do it in a way that feels good to them, that feels authentic to them. And of course, everyone has issues with confidence. We know this across all different, ethnicities, races, classes, gender. I mean, it doesn't matter. People struggle with confidence. So
Mhm.
that is first and foremost what I tackle, right?
Mhm.
With a background in psychology, I can't help but want to tackle these things. So confidence building is a piece of all the work I do. And then essentially, when someone is feeling confident, then it's time to really get visible in their business. And so then we work on visibility strategies. And that is everything from putting together your opt-ins and your funnels to getting published in Forbes or getting published, on a podcast somewhere.
Mhm.
So that's what I do. Totally love it. Totally never planned for it. It sort of just unfolded when I surrendered and let God take over. And here I
Mhm.
am.
I love that, the surrendering and just letting God take the
Yeah,
wheel, right? It's just,
for
it's,
real.
that's kind of how I ended up where I am too. And I had no idea when I actually just posted about this today. It's funny that we're having this conversation, but I remember as a kid being so self conscious about how I looked. I had a really bad
Mhm.
underbite and I was nicknamed Chinny when I was a kid. And I just had all of this unworthiness around being visible, and I would hide behind my face or behind my hands all the time. I wouldn't speak up. I never used my voice. But I remember when I was like 5 years old, there's this picture of me on a stage and I
Mhm.
am just hamming it up. It is obvious that I belong on stage, but because of programming and that lack of confidence, I just struggled so much. And I'm so excited to announce I'm now on Amazon Prime because of those visibility and just doing what you
That's
love and leaning into that,
awesome.
right?
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, being visible is key if you want to have impact, if you want to have that, if you want to have that passionate business where you're lit up and excited. It takes the confidence, takes the visibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really can't be visible unless you deal with those little gremlins inside your head that are telling you all the reasons why you're not good enough and you can't
Mm.
do it. And like people see me now and they're like, oh, yeah, you're a confidence coach. Like nothing bothers you. And it's like, you freaking kidding me? Like, I've gone through some shit in my life. Like,
Yeah.
growing up, I was totally self conscious. I was always
Mm.
like the heavier kid in the class. And even
Mm.
though I was athletic and stuff, like I played sports, I was athletic, I had friends, but I was so self conscious of my body. And I was very much aware that I was not a size 2 or a size 4 when I was in high school. I was very aware of that. And
Mm.
yet people will see me now and they're like, I find that hard to believe that you were overweight. And I'm like, really? Because I can show you pictures. When I graduated college, I was close to 200 pounds. Like people they don't see the years of work that I have
Yeah.
been putting into myself, mind, body, soul, spirit, all of it. There were
Mm.
times that I went through in my teens and 20s where I felt so low in my self-worth and my self-esteem, like I didn't have any. And I was so anxious and so depressed at times, right, going through different periods, that and I say this jokingly, but it's true. It's like I was so damn afraid of everything. I was afraid of my own shadow. Like I could scare myself just by like if I saw something, because I was in such like a ball of nerves. I was just wanted everybody to like me. I wanted to be perfect at everything. And I was very aware that my body was not the average like teenage girl with the bikini. Like I never wore a bikini a day in my life. I still won't wear a bikini. And I'm like 100 pounds less. It doesn't matter,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I totally just wanted to throw that out there, because I don't ever want people to think that I showed up born like this and never went through anything and I'm just still here.
Absolutely. We all walk this path and we all have a journey, and that every single human on the planet has demons that they need to face. I mean, I
That's
feel like that's
exactly.
just part of being human. And whatever those demons are, I just want all of our listeners to know you can face them.
Absolutely, you can.
Everybody can.
Yeah, it's not easy,
No, it's not
but
easy.
you absolutely can. And it's more than you can, it's also that you must, right?
Yes.
Because if you don't decide, right, and this is what I'm really big on, you have to make the conscious decision that you are no longer going to be a prisoner to the past, to the people who have hurt you, to the things you may have done to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You cannot allow those things, those people, those places, those events, those memories to haunt you and continue to make you feel like a piece of shit. You
Yes.
have got to make a decision that you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve love. You deserve kindness and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you need to do those things for other people, but you need to do them for yourself as well.
You need to do
And
them for yourself first.
that's exactly right. That's
Yes.
exactly right. And I have gone through periods, again, 14 years ago, 15 years ago, I was in my mid 20s, and I loathed myself. And I mean that. I mean looking in the mirror and like smashing the mirror and being like, I effing hate you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I don't think I've even shared that story with anybody ever, but it's,
Welcome to Rebel Radio.
I know, right? You bring out this like crazy side of me. People are going to see this and be like, oh my God, she did that. Yeah, I did.
We're
Yeah.
real here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was a scared, hurting kid. And I was angry at myself because I was depressed and I was anxious. And I thought I didn't have a right to be that way. I thought I was supposed to be working in the field that I went to school for. I thought that I was a loser and a failure because I couldn't cut it out there in the mental health community, world, where I was seeing, 45 patients a week, and I was burning out like crazy. Every night. Like I just came home and I was more and more tired. I had nothing left to give. And yet these thoughts would sort of permeate, like, you're a loser, like you can't quit this job, like what's everybody gonna think, like you're like, hello, like you're pathetic. Like that's the shit that went through my head.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at yourself in the mirror and that's what you're hearing, you bet your ass you're gonna punch the mirror, because you don't
Yep.
even want to hear it anymore.
Yeah.
And like I think about that, and there's a part of me that feels sad when I look back on it, because I'm like, oh my God, I was just a kid. And I was so hard on myself. I was so hard on myself, because if I saw that same girl today, I would wrap her in my arms and I would say, listen, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're just a baby. Like, it's okay. You don't have to have it all figured out. No one's going to give a shit if you don't take this job or not. Like, in the grand scheme of life, people that love you are not going to stop loving you because you don't follow the path you went to graduate school for.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, it's that whole piece of self-love, really, that it
Yeah,
really
it
comes
really
down
is.
to is, and that was one of my biggest pieces too, coming through drug addiction and alcoholism and abusive relationships and men telling me that I was a piece of shit. I had to stare at myself in the mirror and face those demons. And the first time I said, I love you in the mirror was not easy, but it got easier and it got easier. And I noticed the other day, I was brushing my teeth and looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, you're a freaking miracle. And I
You
got
know what's
all
so
cheesy.
funny? Listen, I have total chills running through my body right now. Everything you just said, that was a real, like, experience for me. Like I felt all that.
Mhm.
And I agree with you. I know what you're saying when you get to a place in your life. Like I was getting ready for this, right? And I was just like in the mirror and stuff, putting on my makeup, whatnot. And I was like, you know what? I really like you. Like you're a good person,
Right?
right?
And when
And
you
it's
change
nothing,
that inner narrative, your whole
yeah.
life changes.
And it has nothing to do with being conceited or arrogant. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with unconditional self-love and radical
Yes.
self-acceptance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I love this conversation so much.
I do too. How do we not talk before this?
Right? Well, divine timing. So, with this whole conversation about this self love and this self appreciation, how has this supported you as being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Becoming an entrepreneur has actually increased my confidence and increased my self-acceptance. And I think it's because for the first time ever, I was able to admit to myself and to other people that I did not want to do mainstream. I didn't want to do status quo. I didn't want an 8 to 4, 9 to 5, bust my ass, get paid
Blech.
kind of job. I just didn't want that. And I
Yeah.
think if I'm kind of gauging it correctly, every time I did the normal standard thing, right? I went to graduate school twice. By the age of 26, I had 2 master's degrees.
Oh my gosh.
Never stopped going to school since I was in kindergarten.
Wow.
Scratch that. Nursery school. I was
Wow.
like 3, turning 27, had never stopped going to school. It's like 24 freaking years of school. Okay.
Wow.
And every time I tried to keep proving myself in this way, get another degree, get another this, do another that, get another this, do another that, I would like hit these brick walls and fall apart.
Mhm.
Right. So I didn't really want to become a public school teacher, but I got a master's in public schools and teaching. And I went and got a job in a public school.
Right.
And I felt burnt out. Similarly, I went and got a master's in psychology and took a position in a drug and alcohol detox facility, which is very difficult work.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of person that loves with all my heart and soul, and I cannot turn it off. But
Mhm.
again, I thought there was something wrong with me. I didn't
Right.
know it was because I was an empath and a highly sensitive person. Nobody talks about that shit in grad school.
Right.
They talk about transference and countertransference, and it's all done in this very like stiff upper body language.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what do I do when I have someone in front of me whose heart is literally breaking and I can't do anything to fix it? And that's the kind of shit that I was up against. And so, of course, I was going to hit a brick wall. And like, of course, I was going to fall apart and have a nervous breakdown by the time I was like 27, 28 years old. Like,
Mhm.
right? And so, what I realized was that trying to force myself into a like the square peg in the round hole thing,
Mhm.
that's where I hit all the obstacles in life. That's where I would get in my own way. That's where the little demons in your own head and your own little psyche would pop out, because I was always trying to prove right to a boss or an administrator or a teacher or a professor or someone in a position of authority.
Mhm.
And right now, my only power of authority is God. So if I check in with God every day and I know I'm good, like I'm in alignment, like I'm doing what He wants me to do, I'm good. Like there's no pressure and it feels good and it feels
That's good.
effortless.
Goosebumps. Love it. So
It's
good.
effortless.
So good.
So for me, that's an indication that I'm doing the right thing now.
Absolutely.
Because my
Absolutely.
20s and 30s were a shit show.
Right.
I mean, not
Mine
all of
too.
my 30s, probably around 35, I started to realize like,
Yeah.
I don't have to do the things that I don't even know who they are,
Right.
tell me what to do. Like, I don't have to do this regular job and get this degree and
Mhm.
do all this shit I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay then.
I'll
Let me
just
try
go
it
do
my
what I
way.
want.
Yeah.
I
And
love
then
that.
like, oh, like the light just, so I was about 35 when that happened.
Absolutely. So this concept of self-mastery, it's like the definition of success. Nobody really knows what it means. So I'm curious what self-mastery is to you.
To me, self-mastery is the ability to fully express yourself as a human being, meaning it's okay to get angry, it's okay to get sad, it's okay to feel depressed, it's okay to feel nervous in the appropriate circumstances. It's okay to even have a pity party for yourself as long as you don't outwear your welcome and get stuck.
Yes.
That is the difference. It is not to pretend like you're always in a namaste and nothing ever bothers you.
It's all kittens and rainbows.
Yeah, and there's a bubble around you and no one pisses you off and you never say anything that, you may want to take back. Yeah. That to me is like the epitome of what we should not be pretending that we are. We are human. Yeah. Things are going to enrage us at times. They're going to make us upset at times. They're going to make us sad at times. The difference between the 20-year-old me, the 30-year-old me, who didn't have self-mastery, right? I would succumb to my emotion and feel paralyzed by the emotions. So I would have a panic attack on my way to grad school because I knew I had a big exam or, some kind of other, I don't know, indicator of my intelligence coming up. And I would start to panic. And instead of saying, okay, time out, this is normal. Most people get a little nervous around tests. I would go, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Why are you feeling like this? What the hell? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And before you know it, now you're sweating, your heart is pounding. Now, if I'm in a situation where it's brand new and I'm a little bit nervous, I'm like, shit, I'm feeling a little bit nervous right now. But it's expected. This is brand new territory. I've never done this before. I don't know what to expect. My body and my mind are reacting as a normal human being would react. And I'm not going to get overwhelmed by this feeling or this emotion. It's fleeting. It's not going to last forever. It's here. I might as well dance with it.
Right.
I can fight it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to entertain it for too long.
No.
But I'm going to feel it.
Yeah.
And that to me, when you said self-mastery, the thing that I immediately thought of was emotion and feelings. Because again, if we can't master those things, we're going to have a really hard time at life.
Yes.
Especially in the world we're living in, especially in the society we're living in.
Absolutely, which actually leads me to my next question, because in all of our current world circumstances, there's a lot of perceived chaos happening right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious what you would share with our audience about what's going on, how you navigate it. What would be your advice?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's definitely a thinker. It's not something I can just kind of spit off, but I will tell you that for myself, I do safeguard myself in the sense that I am not going to torture myself and sit in front of a cable news network day and night and watch the same bullshit rhetoric every day. I don't care what side you're on. This is not about who's right, who's wrong, who's left, who's right. This is not at all that discussion.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what side you're on. But if you sit in front of a television all day, or you sit in front of the internet all day and you're watching the same channel and the same rhetoric and the same bullshit that's just spewed out, it's going to affect you.
Absolutely.
I don't care who you are, it's going to affect you. Yeah. And so I make a conscientious decision that I don't watch the news. Doesn't mean I'm not an informed citizen. That's the other sort of like, it doesn't mean I don't understand what's happening in the world, or I'm not doing my own research or reading articles or looking at, various perspectives, listening to podcasts, listening to radio, things like that. I do think there is, God, how do I say this? I know it's like, don't like censor yourself here, but like, I feel like our society is in a big clusterfuck right now. It just is. Society is in a big clusterfuck. I do believe that the media and politicians have a lot to do with that. Again, not saying who's right or wrong, not saying like, oh, if you're this, you're a jerk, or if you're that, you're a jerk. I feel like both sides are equally crazy and both have some legitimate things that they could bring to the table. I do know that, and I don't want to get all old school history because I do have a degree in history, but like Abraham, was it Abraham Lincoln? I think, I don't even know. But
I'm Canadian, so I don't really know.
shit. Okay, yeah. So like I think it was Abraham Lincoln that said like a house divided amongst itself cannot survive.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Well, you could fact check that. I don't know. Who cares? Nobody fact checks anything anyway.
No.
But I'm pretty sure it was something like that when he was referring to the Civil War here in the United States 200 years ago, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And don't come at me and say it was, 300 years, 175 years. You get my point, right? It was, when people are divided and they are afraid and they're consumed by the fear and the anger and the misunderstanding and the frustration. And then you have the media, which is just like loving it, right? It's like, oh boy, we've got a lot of people watching us because we're just spewing off at the mouth.
All the drama,
right?
Yeah.
I look at our current state of affairs as if we were all like in middle school. Like everybody is like all hormonal. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. Nobody knows what's happening with their bodies, their minds. Everybody's nuts. I'm serious.
It's so true. Oh my gosh.
Middle school. I mean, I know you're Canadian, but I know what's happening in the US with our
fully
election.
aware of what's happening. Yeah.
I'm like, are we serious? Like we have grown men calling each other like, I don't know, insulting each other, calling each other names like they're in 5th grade, 6th grade.
Very much, middle school.
You want to get out and back? Want to go? Yeah, want to go to the playground? Yeah, let's go to the playground.
I'll meet you on the playground after school.
It's like, shut up. Just like get some shit done. This is how I feel. Like, if you don't know how to manage what's going on, be honest with us.
Mm-hmm.
Please stop just like giving us a bunch of bullshit. Just be like, hey, listen, y'all, I'm trying, but I don't have a damn clue.
Right?
I would respect that more than people being like, no, this is the way that it needs to be, and this is the only way it needs to be, and my opponent is a beep, right? It's like, don't do that.
Not helpful.
It's not helping. It's not helping anybody. And I can tell you what I don't stand for. I don't at all tolerate discrimination, racism, sexism, homophobia. Like those things are just not okay ever, right? And so, and feel free to disagree. I don't, again, disagreeing is okay. Yeah. It's what you do with it, right? Yes, if you're going to be mad and throw a firebomb through my window because I said that, well, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like we can talk it out. We can hash it out. We don't have to like resort to extreme violence. We don't have to resort to, but the other thing too, of course, is, with COVID happening, and again, we can talk all day and night about that, whatever, is it that real? Is it not that real?
Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. You listen to one side and they're like, oh my God, this is the deadliest thing ever. This is going to kill humanity. You listen to another side and they're like, oh, you guys are all, crackpots. Like you don't need any of this stuff. You don't need a mask. You don't need that. You will drive yourself crazy. So you have to be an independent thinker.
Absolutely. And you need to be very aware of what you're focused on and what is it that you want to choose to think about.
Correct.
Yeah.
You have to decide what's your truth, not what is somebody feeding you, right? Prime example, I have, my grandma is still alive. I love my grandma. She is 92 years old. She's still independent, lives at home on her own, just doesn't drive, but that's it. Still cooks, still cleans, still bathes, all the stuff she can do to her activities of daily life. She is terrified of COVID. Now, I'm not in a position to say that people should not take this seriously. So don't anybody come at me and say that, oh, Lisa Marie Pepe said you don't have to wear a mask. That's not what I said. But I will tell you this. My grandmother is scared to death. Why? Because she sits in front of the television day and night. She listens to the side that tells her she should be deathly afraid.
Yeah.
And so whenever somebody comes to the house, it's okay, stay back. Okay, put a mask on. Stay. That to me, I understand we have to be careful, right? I'm not saying people that are compromised, people that are elderly, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be cautious. But to me, it's so sad to see that, and to see people who are in a state of panic, in a state of fear, non-stop.
Yeah,
It's not even just once in a while. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go out, in public. Maybe I should wear this mask and be careful and not touch anything. This is like your own family. And that to me it's quite sad. Absolutely. I can't give my grandmother a hug. I haven't hugged my grandmother in 8 months.
Yeah,
because she won't let me.
That's so sad. Yeah.
And she'll go, oh, okay. She'll like tap me on the back as I'm like going out the door. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and it's creating disconnect. Absolutely.
It is. And again, we're not communicating with one another. We're not talking about the things that really need to be talked about. We're skirting around them because everybody's afraid to talk about them. But in the meantime, there's a lot of destruction and chaos and fear and anger and animosity and boredom. And when you combine all those things, of course, people are going to turn on each other. It's like, and I do feel like the powers that be are like kind of just watching all of us, like little puppeteers, like, oh, look at all the little people fighting. Look at all the little people like hurting each other with their words, with their fists. Like,
and it all comes back to the self-love piece. Really, it does.
It does. And I will tell you this, I've often said, and I will say this 1,000 times, even if it sounds crazy, I believe that most of the atrocities in the world, the sicknesses in the world, the illnesses in the world, the violence in the world, the discord, all of it really does come back to the individual.
Absolutely.
If we had more people who truly felt good about themselves and did not need to demean others in order to prove that they were worthy of love and acceptance and respect, we could eliminate a lot of unnecessary violence, chaos, war, famine, all of it.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's a bunch of scared children that never really grew up. And they're still out in the world trying to say like, hey, look at me, 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 mom.
Right.
Mom.
I say that all the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like that is honestly what I feel like. Like I feel like there's people who, even our leaders, right, who are just like little boys that just never grew up and never got any affection or something. Like it's just, and then it escalates, and then it's on a global scale. But now it's wars against countries, it's wars within countries. It's, I don't know. I feel like, I'm not saying we all have to sit and sing Kumbaya, but I mean, if we all did a little bit more sort of deep diving, figuring out why we don't feel great about ourselves, figuring out where do we belong in the world, like where's our place, I think we'd be better off.
Absolutely.
Just my opinion.
Lisa, I could have this conversation with you for days. I want to thank you for being here on the show. And as always, we end Rebel Radio with the same question. What do you dream of for the world?
Ooh. World peace. No. Okay. So I do mean that in the sense that, what do I really want for the world? I want for every human being to recognize that they are okay just as they are. And that they don't have to prove or show or fight to get the attention they need. I truly want every human being to just truly feel good about themselves when they look in the mirror.
Oh, so beautiful. Lisa, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been a pleasure.
It's so much fun. And I never use this little what's this, yard goats?
StreamYard.
We have a baseball team here. I think they're called the Yard Goats, which makes me laugh every time I say it. I'm like, Yard Goats.
Yard Goats.
Like, why is this a baseball team? Yard goats. What the hell is this? So when you said we were on this, I'm like, we're on Yard Goat? I don't know. I'm like, what are we doing?
I love it.